Hi everyone, my name is Masoudi.
Hi guys, this is Dimo from Masoudi.
So last session we refactored the customer as well, and we created this connector that was hiding all the complexity of the connection, serializing, deserializing, and all those bits about what is the end of the indicator of the end of the message or the two consecutive backslash and all that stuff. And now it made our the customer's job very easy to sending request and receiving response. And now it is very easy, and now when we, for example, send a request to the customer, let me for example show you this. So for example, we say let me just show you, for example, place order. And for example, we say orange 10, 19, whatever. Yes, I want to add another item, apple 12, and then no. And we send the order to this side, to the admin side, and the admin side receives this. Order was orange pipe 19, then apple is appended without any indicator to the 19, and it is incorrect. And let me show you in the admin. Okay, when the command is place order, it is just printing the body after order was. So the body of the request is this. This is the body of the request. And in this side, and now the message has been received. Again, we have to, deserialize the body and convert it to, to the request, to the order. We have to take out the bits of the order, for example, the items and the amounts and all that stuff. And that is as well the protocol between, but this protocol is in the higher level. The first protocol was about how to connect and send the command and receive the response. But about what is the content of this request and how to serialize and deserialize that is as well a protocol, that should also be agreed upon between the admin and the customer, because both parties should know how to send the body, what is the content and what does it mean, and the other side should also deserialize it. So but now we are just simply, the customer is just concatenating with this pipe and the \n, and the \n's are not printed here. Okay, we have \n's, but they are not printed here. But we can take, for example, \n's as end of each item. So we can say, for example, because customer is sending first the product name in the body of the message request, there are a bunch of items. So each line will be an item in the order, and it will be separated into two parts. The first part will be the product name. The second part, separated with the pipe character, will be the amount. But for example, also we have to send the customer name, because the admin should know which customer does this order belongs to. And also we have to send the customer name. So for example, we have to for example, we have to ask for the customer name. Then we have to consider, okay, how we are going to send the customer name. Do we have to separate it with pipe, with @, with for example the characters, and and as the request and response gets bigger and bigger and more, you will be more
Need.
Yes, you will see.
You feel that you need something.
You feel, yes, of course. You'll feel the need of some protocol, some higher level protocol for serializing and deserializing the message. So there is some well-known protocols that others uses, mostly widely used nowadays. For example, the XML or the JSON, which later the JSON is being used more. And I want to show you the JSON here, how the JSON is being made and what is a JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and I think it comes from the JavaScript language, JS.
Yes.
And you know, the whole idea of the JSON is to how to serialize our object that we have in the memory into a string, and then deserialize it back to the object, you know, in a way that everyone, you know, knows what this content means. So this is the official website of the JSON, and it defines the language of the JSON.
The notation of that.
Yes. Now the main part is here. The JSON is either these values. It can be a string, a number, object, an array. The object and array are defined, you know, above. This is the definition of the array and the object, and we will get back to them. It can be true, false, or null. So a JSON can be one of these, you know, or a combination of these values. And we can, you know, we can create any object that we have in mind with these values. So this is an online JSON editor, and let me just, and we want to experiment a little bit here, and I want to show you that. For example, the true value is a JSON. It's a Boolean. You know, you can see the other side. It's okay. The false is one of the other values of the JSON. The string, you know, you can see the other one was string. So strings are indicated with two quotations, you know, between two quotations. Any string is acceptable. So if we want to have, you know, a JSON string, we have to put it into two quotations. Or any number, for example, integer number or decimal numbers with floating point, or an array. Arrays are, you know, indicated with brackets. Inside the array, we can have, for example, true, false, 1, 2, I don't know, whatever. And a string, again, an array, empty array, again, an array with 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, let me just move it here to see it better in the tree form. So as you can see, this is an array, has 7 items. The first item is true, second item is false, third item is 2, and so on. The last 2 items are as well array. The last one has these items. Or, for example, we can have JSON object. This is an object, and we create JSON objects with braces. So, for example, and JSON objects are composed with a bunch of key values, and each key value should be separated with a comma, and the keys should be string, but the values can be any JSON value. For example, we can say A is 2, one key value. Again, for example, B is 1.4, C is an JSON array, 1, 2, 3, for example. D, as you can see, we have an error. Let me show you what is the error here. It is saying that bad string, because the key should always be a string. So we have to put it in quotation. For example, let me add another one. E, it can be true. Again, a JSON value, which JSON object is JSON value again. AA, for example. So let me move it to this side to look it better. So object have 5 key values. The first one is A2, B 1.4, C is a JSON array. It has these items. The last one is again JSON object with this key value. For example, if we want to send our request, yes, to the other side, we have to have something like this. We have to, for example, say customer name. For example, customer name will be something. And then the backslash ends here, and the spaces between these key values are, you know, are ignored. You know, you can put anything. And then we want to, for example, say items of order, yes? Items are a JSON array. So inside the JSON array, we have, for example, a bunch of JSON objects. So each item of this JSON array is itself an object, which will have the amount and the product name, or maybe other information. So for example, we have amount equals, for example, 1, 2, something like this, and product is, for example, apple.
And price.
No, the price is in the other side. We cannot send it to the. So, for example, let me change amounts. Sorry. And also the items, orange and peach and banana, and it's enough. So if I show it better in this side, in the right side, we have an object has this customer name and items, two key value pairs inside the first object. The first one is the customer name. The second key is the items. The items itself is an JSON array, but the items of that JSON array are JSON object themselves. Each JSON object has two key value pairs.
In JSON array, we have object.
You can compose it any way, any way that suits your needs, But this
can we say that when we have more objects in JSON objects, in JSON object we have another object. It's not kind of array.
You have to compose an array. You cannot have something like this. Let me show you.
No,
for example, this
JSON when we have, for example, this one.
Another JSON object, huh? So
then here we have another object.
You cannot have that. You cannot have that. No, because inside JSON object, let me just first.
Inside JSON object, we can have another object.
You can have another JSON object. You can have another JSON object as the value of a key. You don't have any key here. So
is it false?
Yes, it is wrong here. You can see that this. Let me just cut this part because this has error here. Why?
Because it isn't completed.
Because no.
Completed.
Okay. Okay. Complete the inner part. True. Okay. But this, because this is a JSON object, this is as a whole is a JSON object. Yes. Inside JSON object, we are only allowed to have key value pairs. The first
is key value.
The first pair is okay. The second pair doesn't have any key. It is the value. No. A is 45. What is this JSON object? A is 45. Okay. What is this JSON? What is the key of this JSON? No. Just let me make it a single line just to look at it better. So because this is a JSON object, you have
that is key value.
Yes, you have to put another key, for example, B. Now it is okay. Because this is JSON object, inside JSON object, we are only allowed to have key value pairs. You cannot have, for example, like this. Let me show you. For example, 1, 2, 3, or false.
Okay, I know that.
You have to put key. Okay, as you know this one, you should also know this one, that you have to have a key behind this one. Yes? It is okay. Now you can see A. A is this array. And you should know also this one, that this is a value. A value should be, followed with a key. So
here again, can we have key value?
Yes, because it's JSON object again, and it has nothing to do with the outer JSON object. Now just look at it as the objects that we have in the Java or Kotlin. In the Kotlin, when we have an object, you have a bunch of properties, right? Right?
This is false.
It is false because you put a semicolon instead of the colon between key and value.
S is key. The value of S
is a JSON object. Let me just make it come to this part. The first value level is an object. It has key value. The key is S. The value is also a JSON object. So
it has key value.
Yes.
Again, for example, in A we can open another
a JSON array, for example, or a true or false or open.
Key value.
Let me show you here. For example, we have this request. Yes, request is an object. We want to serialize it to the JSON. So when we have an object, and each object has a bunch of properties, yes? What are the properties of this request? Command parameters, and body, yes? If we want to serialize it as a JSON, we have to make it a JSON object because we have a bunch of key values here, bunch of properties. Command is something, parameters is something. Parameters is the key. The body is the key, the value is the value of the body. And for example, this maybe we have another, the body itself is an object which has a bunch of properties for itself. So the body itself is an object, then the body will be the key, the value again will be in JSON array object. Maybe it is in a JSON array, then it will be in a JSON array. So for example, maybe this, let me paste it again. Maybe this customer name is not customer name, it's customer. And it has the whole information of a customer. So it should be a JSON object, for example. The name, yes. The name of the customer.
The key is customer, the value.
The key is the customer, the value is the object.
Another object.
Yes, it is an object. For example, the address.
So what is the items then down? Items is the name of the array.
Items is the key.
The value is an array.
Value is an array, yes. Is an array. Is a list of items.
List of items.
Because you cannot send it outside of this JSON object. You cannot have something like this. Let me show you. You cannot have, because what is this? It's not a JSON value. A JSON value can be one of these: string, number, true, false, null, object, or array. So here you have an object, then you have an array outside. You know, it makes no sense. It is a very easy concept. It's just for serializing information, you know. We have that concept, that picture of how the objects and their properties, and we can, you know, create some.
Yes, we have to work with that more.
Yes.
I have.
So, you know, we can go with the old-fashioned way and, for example, come up with some protocol for serializing the body ourselves, like this pipe. For example, we can say the customer name. We will send the customer name. Then we will have two pipes, or like, I don't know, one @ sign, or a sharp sign or something like that. Then we will have the items concatenated with \n, and we can do that. But when we have more requests, when we add more requests, and you know, now we have only ask for product list and place order. We will have, for example, sign up, sign in. I don't know, create product. Maybe the admin will connect to the server and say create product, change the price of the product. And as the requests are growing, then we will send bodies with these requests. Then we have to come up with some kind of protocol for those bodies to serialize them. But we can use some, you know, standard way like JSON that is capable of serializing anything you have in your mind. You know, any object with any complexity. You know, maybe you have an object which has an array of objects. You know, you can serialize it to a JSON and then deserialize it back. When you have something like this that is widely accepted, we can use that. And also it has, you know, it has a lot of pre-written libraries, third-party libraries that it will ease, you know, the work. You know, it will make it easy serializing, and because concatenating them with string and then creating for loops, while loops, and
to check the
watching for characters to see where it ends when the next starts. We, you know, for this bit of code that is very simple, that only, you know, determines where the body ends, where the command ends, and when the body starts, and all that. It's very ugly, and you know, it can have many bugs. But for JSON, which is widely used, as I said, there are a lot of libraries written, you know, for us and tested and working correctly, properly. And so for working with JSON, if we want to send in JSON here, let me just show you for place order. Okay, so for place order, we are going to create a JSON array object. JSON object starts with a brace. I will replace this with an library, but let's first just send it, you know, let's just create it manually ourselves to see what is going on. So first, the order starts with a brace because it's a JSON object. And then when we get the product name and amount, we have to have, for example, we were sending with inside the items, yes? Items key, then we have a JSON array, yes? Okay, let's say we have these backslash are for escaping quotation, because I want to use the quotation inside that. Let me use this multi-line. So we have brace, then we have an string as the key, which is items, then a colon, then the value. The value is a JSON array, but I want to leave it open. Then I want to append these as JSON object to that, and then I want to send it. Okay, but you can see that it is getting out of hand, and so I want to introduce this library for this JSON. So if you go to Maven, for example, Maven Central Repository, there are a lot of libraries for anything. For example, I'm looking for JSON library. This one is, I'm getting this version, the last version, November 22, as we are recording this. We are not using Gradle yet. We will be using it later. We are not using Gradle. You know, Gradle is a tool for build tool. You know, it manages your dependencies, all the libraries that you are adding from outside, and even more complicated stuff. But now we have to, because we are not using Gradle or something like, we have to download our dependency jar files. So I'm going to download this. This is the one that we are looking for, this jar file, which is around 7 megabytes. And you have to download it. I've downloaded it before. And after you downloaded that, each jar file is actually simply a bunch of classes, written like this. And written before, and we can use them like we have written ourselves. So I add the library here to inside the modules. In the dependencies, I add as jar, and it is I believe in the downloads and programs. This is the one, JSON 2020 1511. So I added here, and as you can see, it is added to my external libraries. And if I open it, you can see it is simply a bunch of classes. It is JSON array, JSON string, I don't know, JSON object or JSON string, again property, JSON object, and all that. So these are the classes that have been written for us before, that knows how to deal with the JSON object and JSON array and all that stuff. So here I have to say, for example, order instead of string is an JSON object. And as you can see, the class is inside the org.json package. And we've not written it here. We don't have any class here named JSON object, but it is inside this library, inside here, the library that we have added to the compile path. So I create an object of this JSON object. Then for order, we can say we have, for example, var items are themselves a JSON object. Yes? No, they are JSON array. Yes, JSON array. Items are JSON array. And here I have to create first an item which is a JSON object. Yes? Each item is a JSON object, which has these key values. Put. You can see that it has function like put that accepts a key and a value.
Product name.
Yes, product, for example, and
value product name.
Yes, product name, of course. And also I'm going to add another key value to this item, amount. And this part will be the received amount. And we can get rid of this. Then after getting this item, we have to add this item to the items. So items is a JSON array, yes?
Items.get.
Items.add or put, I think. Add or put. Yes, put. Put, as you can see, does not request any key. It just requests JSON values. JSON values are integer, numbers, Boolean, or array, JSON array, or JSON object. So I can put a JSON object item. You can see that I can put the item. So we are concatenating, we are composing the JSON object. And then after it is completed, then we can say, okay, orders dot put items, yes, and then I put the items array inside the items as a key value. Then again, I can have, for example, customer name, for example, whatever I like, customer name. Or I can create a customer object and put it to this customer. And for example, I'm sending a string because the key is a string. The value itself can be a JSON again. A JSON is true, false, null, JSON string, JSON array, and JSON object. So for example, I can say mass, or we can ask for the name. Okay. Now we have to send, this part is not changed. We have to send our message as a sequence of bytes to the other side. But this library here, this JSON object, JSON array, and all that, just has helped us to easily compose our message. Now we have to ask this order, which is a JSON object, we have to convert it to a string, when we are calling this to a string, it will create create the string that we were going to do it manually ourselves. Let me show this part to you. Let me copy and paste this. Copy and paste it here. If true, return. I don't want the rest to be run. Let's just run it and then print this order to string. Print ln. We just want to experiment with this library. Okay, we want to see what is the result of to a string here. We have error somewhere. Okay, this is the error here. Let's send some empty body just to make it work. Okay, it is saying enter product name. We are here, enter product name. I can say, for example, apple, amount 10, yes, orange, 12, yes, banana, 15, no. You can see that it created this JSON object for us. And if I copy and paste it here, you will see there is no error. And if I add it here, we have a JSON object. It has 3 items. The customer name is Masudi. The items is a JSON array. Each of them are a JSON object. They have amount as key, values 10, product as key, values apple, and yes. And you can see that we had to, if we didn't have this library, this JSON library, we had to concatenate, we had to, for example, have something like this, val order is, this brace, then, for example, 2 quotations as the key items, then a colon. Then I had to, again, create some kind of a string here and just be very cautious about the commas and the quotations and all that. But this library is doing everything for us. And it will do the deserialization part in the other side as well. We will receive this string, this whole string. Then we will pass it to the JSON object, and then we will ask it for, and we will say, for example, get me the value of this key. It will give it as a JSON object again, or a JSON array, or a JSON string. It will be very easy working with that. So let me get rid of this part. And here, so after getting this, we say val serialized body is order.toString .to byte array to make it a sequence of arrays. It just needs string. The request just needs a string, and it does the rest for us. Serialized body. Okay, and it will send it to the other side. In this side, in the admin side, after receiving, we will have this body, yes? We know that this body is JSON. Now we know the protocol is that the body is a JSON. So we can create, we can say order equals, it's a JSON. We know that it is also a JSON object, not a JSON array, not a JSON string. That's a JSON object. And JSON object accepts a string, and it you know, gets all the bits and stuff inside this string, you know. If we make any mistake here and pass any wrong, you know, wrong JSON object, it will throw an exception. So we know, because we know that this string here is a JSON object, we confidently pass it and ask for a JSON object form. And then we can say inside this order, we have
JSON array.
Get as key. We can say get a string. Customer, yes, customer name. We had a key there. Customer name, yes. Customer name, and we know that inside, but we know the value is a string, so we ask for a string. So let's say this is customer name. And then we have the items. Items are, what is the item? It's a JSON array. Get JSON array. We know that inside this order JSON object, we have a key value, which the key is items, and the value is JSON array. So we ask it. And we can do all these things, you know, manually. It's very easy. We can write a for loop, go, you know, and trace the quotations, the commas, and detect the start, beginning, and end of the keys, and the beginning and end of the items, and all that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you know, we should write all these all this code. For example, 2,000, 3,000 lines of code just to create a library that, you know, do all these stuff which has been written for us. But as we said before, we have to first try to write it ourselves, at least a small bit of it, to see what it is going, you know, what's going on underneath everything, you know. We should not look at these things as some magic is happening, you know, because it's very easy stuff. This library is just serializing to the string and deserializing from string, and just that. So customer name, items. Items is in JSON array, yes. Each item inside this items is a JSON object, yes. So here we have to have a for loop, items dot. It has, I believe, a length or something like that. Let's say instead of for, let's say items dot size. Yes, it has length. We can ask for the index. Get first index, get second. You know, you can see that it just receives index. And because we know that each index is a JSON object, we say get JSON object. For example, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have to put it in a for loop. And JSON, let me see if we can receive as a sequence of get JSON object. Make it a list or something like that. To list. We have to have a while loop, ugly while loop for. Let's just print what is received. The next session we can have a while loop and iterate over all of the items. So we can say the customer is customer name, and items are the items. I'm just printing the items dot to a string. The JSON array, I'm just converted to a string just to print it, to show you at the end of the session that the order is being received properly. So let's run this admin and then the customer, and then we are going to send a request, an order. Okay. So it just, let me stop everything. We are inside the admin. Let's run the admin. Okay, admin is running. Let's run the customer. We ask for the product list. It is not being sent as JSON object. We have to also make it in a JSON form, but let's place an order. For example, apple 10, orange for what happened? Oh, I had to say yes. I had to say yes, but let's see. You can see that the customer is mass OD. Items are a JSON array with one item. Yes, because I didn't enter yes. So the item is product. Item is a JSON object which has two key values: product apple, amount 10. And it's saying that, and we have to also iterate over all of the items inside this JSON array and not just simply printed it. We are just simply printing it, serializing it and printing it. So next session, we will continue from here. We will try to iterate over all of the items, and then we will try to create an order here in the admin side and add it to the orders. And then we will notify the admin about an incoming order. So we will, for example, print the menu again with, for example, pending. For example, now we are printing this main menu. We will have the 9th one as pending orders. For example, when we receive an order, we then print it again, like a notification, because we don't have any graphical user interface yet. For example, when a request comes, we print it again. So somehow we notify the admin about the new order, and we will continue from there. Yes, we have a lot to do. We have to again also change our protocol to the HTTP, which is widely commonly used and accepted. Yes, we had a lot to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Yes.
Yes, and supporting. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.